It's another edition of our Cuse Connection series. Brian Higgins with you in Syracuse. And who's on the other side of the screen? It's Syracuse women's basketball second all-time leading scorer, the 2017 ACC Player of the Year. It's Alexis Peterson. Lex, how you doing here? How's everything with you and your family and this entire everything that's going on right now?
Wow, I'm doing well, honestly. I can't complain, Brian, honestly. My family's doing great. We're healthy. We've been quarantining as much as possible, but still trying to stay active and, try to keep life normal as much as possible.
I'd say the first thing I asked everybody in all of these is where are you right now? Because you never know where people are in the world
Right.
at the moment.
I am home in Columbus, Ohio. I've been here since I came home in March due to the pandemic. I was in Poland,
Mhm.
and my season was cut short, so I've been home since March 14th.
All right, and hey, we know here the last day of sports are around these parts. I think was March
Ooh,
11th, so that's not long after that, and we'll get into all
yeah,
that and what must have been. I can't even imagine what it must have been like trying to
right.
get back from overseas then. But
Oh my gosh.
and that's got to be a story, and we'll get to it in a sec. But we're talking to you now because okay, that's almost 6 months ago now, 5 6 months ago,
Right,
and you've seen
right.
what's happened here, and you've got a foundation now called a Greater Purpose, I believe. What are you
Yes.
guys doing here that you've sort of identified in your community as important to look out
AGP, a greater purpose, was something that I created 2 years ago. And it's a faith-based brand, and it's built to inspire and encourage not only athletes but everyone to reach their greater purpose. Like, we go through so many things in life, and sometimes we can get stuck into, "Oh, I'm just a basketball player," but I believe that we all have something greater that we're put on this earth to do. So I started that at a time really when I was home. I had just got cut from Indiana from training camp. And I was really kind of soul searching and finding a way, like, okay, this is bigger than me. Like, I'm more than just a basketball player. What are ways that I can give back and contribute and continue to reach other people despite what I'm going through currently? So this pandemic has really, really allowed me to sit and think and kind of sit still and be creative in my thinking and find ways to give back. So our first huge thing that I'm doing right now is the Feed a Family, where I understand these are unprecedented times, and I've been blessed to not want for anything. So I said, how can I give back? There's so many people who need just basic things such as food, water, clothes, shoes, anything. So I came up with the Feed a Family initiative. And basically, each week, the goal is to feed two families, $125 to two families each week. And we'll do that for 3 weeks. And so I mean, I can't begin to tell you the amount of support and outpouring from other people. How can I help? How can I donate? This is great what you're doing. I want to be a part of this. So it's just a great feeling to see something that you had a vision for, kind of start to come to life.
when you go about something like this, and there's so many big things happening around this right now. When you talk about
Right.
giant government things going on, and giant food
Oh my
banks and
gosh.
food pantries that are stretched, and this is a big thing to do something like you're
Right.
doing that starts small. Where I guess is the
Right.
place for things like that right now.
I mean, there is a time and place for everything, and I think the time is now. Now more than ever, like you said, there's so many things going on, and it's so easy to get consumed and overwhelmed. And I was one of those people at one point. I was just like, this is just so much. I don't know where to start. You don't know where, but I think you just kind of have to just sit down, like I did, and you just got to kind of think like you can't let it be too big that you don't do anything, because anything can make a difference. And that's what I want to start with the Feed a Family. It's like, it may be something small in the moment, but who knows how big it can grow and how many people it can impact and help.
If people want to help out with this, Lex, so where do they go and what can they do?
If families or anyone around wants to help, you can email me at the AG Foundation at gmail.com. That's AG Pete, the first part of my last name, Foundation, at gmail.com. And I can give you more information. And I mean, I've had so many people reach out and it's just been great. It's a very, very rewarding feeling.
All right, so hopefully this all goes well. And hey, I'd say congratulations to
Yeah.
you in advance of stepping up
Thank
and
you.
just trying to do something in your community, which is
Thank
a pretty
you.
cool thing to do. Well, we're sitting here.
Also, and Brian,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Brian, I wanted to touch that it's just not in Columbus. This is not just Columbus, Ohio, or the state of Ohio. This is a global thing. So I want to make that known. I think some people kind of think, oh, this is just for here in Ohio. No, this is all over. If you know anyone in California, Florida, New York, Chicago, please feel free to reach out. We're trying to touch as many people as possible with this initiative. So it's not just limited to here in Ohio. This is a US type of thing, if you will. It's a
How,
global thing.
how much PD does it go into that? Yeah, you're from Columbus, and obviously you spent your
Hmm.
4 years in Syracuse. But since then, and it's not that
Right.
long ago, but it's 3-4 years now that you've been
Right.
out in literally
Right.
traveling the world playing basketball, and you've been all over the place. So you've seen a lot
Right.
of things here in the last few years.
Right. Oh man, like you said, I spent some time briefly in Seattle,
Hmm.
and that really kind of touched me a lot because I was going to visit Seattle children's and children in the oncology department. And just seeing those children, it just kind of changed my perspective. It's a lot bigger than the the things that we complain about, or the everyday things that we feel like we don't have. And then being abroad, being in Israel, being in Poland, you see life so differently. And you really realize how blessed and fortunate you are to just have basic living necessities.
Let's go back here, Lex, because hey, you were out there playing basketball, and we don't know what's going on right
Right.
now any better than anyone else as well. When we'll see you or
Right.
others back on the court. Obviously, the
Mhm.
NBA's WNBA are going right now, but who knows when
Right.
it gets going full for real. But take me back to March, like end of February. This story's starting to bubble up in the world at large. You're in
Mhm.
not the United States at the time, you're in Poland. How
Right.
do you deal with something like this when you are that
Mhm.
far away from home at the time?
Honestly, Brian, it was a scary time. I'm not gonna lie, it was, something that I've never experienced. And then being away from home at the time, you just really don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know. I didn't know how I was gonna get home. And in February, there were talks of, okay, the coronavirus is building up. And then it became talks, okay, we're gonna be playing without fans.
Hmm.
And then it literally went from, I kid you not, we played a game March 8th. March 11th, they had canceled our playoffs completely. We were going to gear into the playoffs. They canceled the playoffs completely. By March 12th, I was booking a flight home. It happened that quick. And it was just like a whirlwind. I had my dog Louie, my little son. And so that was another stressful piece because, usually traveling with a pet, you have to prepare some time in advance for those type of accommodations. So I thank God that I was able to get Louis on board, didn't have to pay for his flight, didn't have to do anything stressful involving him, and we were able to get home safe and sound, and as easily as possible, honestly.
I'm not sure exactly how that timing lines up with when the various travel bans and all that started. Were you
Hmm.
able to get out quickly, I guess, or did you have to deal with any of that type of stuff of wondering if literally you were going to be able to get back in the United States?
Yeah, I did actually. So going into so the night, my mom called me at 2:30 in the morning in Poland, and I don't know what time. That's about 6 hours after here. And she was like, "You need to call your agent. You need to get home. They just put a travel ban from anyone coming from Europe to get into the United States." So I wake up in the middle of the night. I kid you not, freaking out. I get on the phone with my agent. I'm like, "Hey, I don't know if you're seeing what they're saying, but CNN has just released something saying that they're not allowing anyone coming from Europe to get in the United States. What do I need to do?" He was like, "You need to get a flight. I'll call your team." So I was literally up till 5:30 in the morning with my mom, my aunts, and my sister, all on different laptops. They're in the U.S. I'm in Poland. We're all like literally trying to find flights. And when I tell you they were selling out by the minute, I was looking to get into Chicago, JFK. I was even going into DC, Florida. Like we were just trying to get anywhere into the US without having to stop in Europe first. And luckily I was able to find a direct flight to JFK. And I was able to get home before customs and everything got crazy. So I thank God for that, because I mean I've seen some of the pictures and the videos of how um, crazy it was, and I was just like, I couldn't imagine going through that, especially with a dog waiting all that time.
That only had to be those pictures. I mean, we all remember that, seeing it on the news, those crazy pictures of
Right,
especially JFK, LaGuardia, and all
right,
the New York airports. But I mean,
right.
Chicago as well. That had to be what, 2, 3 days later. I mean, it wasn't that long
Absolutely.
after you pulled that off.
Yeah. Yes, it was. I mean, I was able to get in almost in like a nick of time, like
Mm.
maybe a day before the madness started. So I was just like, man, timing is everything, obviously.
Hmm. Well, just
Yeah.
I clicked on just when I knew I'd be talking to you today. Go check out how your season had been going and your stats. You dropped 40 a
Mhm.
couple days before this happened, so you were over there playing really well. This had to be a weird thing where you're
Yeah,
balling out, and now you got to pull the plug. That had to make it even harder to do on short notice when you've been playing so well.
absolutely. It was, excuse me, it was definitely hard. We were rolling. We had it clicking on all cylinders, and
Mhm.
like I said, we were getting ready to host the playoffs, something that my club at the time had never done before. And that format was extremely important, because if you host, the first two games are at home. So each series in the first in Poland is best of five. So you host the first two games at home, and there's a lot of travel time between the games in Poland. Like, there's no city that's like an hour away. There's like 9, 10 hour drives, bus drives. So you think about hosting the first two games at home, you go on the road, all you have to do is win one. I mean, that was going to be huge. So it was definitely hard to walk away. I think this is my best season so far, and I enjoyed my time in Poland. I hate that it had to end so soon, but I was grateful for the experience.
How do you handle it now? We know with a lot of
Mhm.
you that are playing international overseas, that's
Right,
even if you go back to the same team, it's still very much a year by year thing where you and your agent, you
right,
evaluate, and it's not like you're going the next town over if you leave. You're going to different
right,
countries. How are you handling
right.
that process now, and the prospect of if and when you can go back and start playing again?
Yeah. So, I was blessed. Like I said, I've been blessed through this whole thing. I can't express that enough. But I was able to sign to go back to Israel back in May, before things really kind of get crazy. So I was thankful for that. I was able to secure a job early. But now it's like you said, that period of uncertainty. Like, I don't know when I'm leaving. We don't know if there will be a season. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that are kind of up in the air, especially with the international play. Like, here in the United States, we've seen the bubbles. We've seen the things that they've done to kind of prevent, the coronavirus from interfering with the sports. But overseas, how do you do that? How do you how do you quarantine basically a country in that sense that has players coming in and out to come play there? So I mean, it's something I'm curious to see how it'll play out. I pray that we can have a season, because this is what we do. This is our livelihood. This is what we love to do ultimately. So I'm hoping it works out for the best, and I have a feeling that it will.
Well, it's so different than you think about the NBA. The European players that play in the
Uh-huh.
NBA, for the most part, I mean, they're living here. You'd be going back
Right.
and forth, so that's a whole other thing. When
Yeah.
when when is it supposed to start? I guess, or when was it supposed to start? It's got to. I always feel it's early fall, right, when you make the move back overseas. So how does that schedule
Right.
now? And I guess, are you planning on going then, or do you think everything's on hold right
Yeah. I am planning. Our season is set to start October 12th. It's supposed to be our first game. Israel starts a little bit later, so we're not due to leave till the end of September.
now? Okay.
So it's just kind of playing it by ear right now. I've heard that it may be possibly pushed back a week or two, just to make sure that everyone here in the United States is clear. Um, there's a lot of things that are going in differently. You have to have your work visa before you go to enter the country, because a lot of borders are still closed to tourists and just outsiders. You have to prove that you're there to work, which is different for some countries, such as Israel in years past, where you would get your work visa once you got there, got settled in. So Yeah, this will be a definitely different year for sports and international play, definitely. Just trying to figure out how is this whole thing going to work? Will we play a full season? Will we have to come home early? It's just so many questions. So I'm planning to still go. I'm preparing. I'm still training, working out, business as usual here.
Not to put words in your mouth, but I mean, if I'd be in your situation, I'd imagine like if that season's going to happen, right? You'd want it to know what was going to happen when you left. You don't want to be stopping and
Yeah,
starting and going
yeah.
back and forth or anything like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. Like, I mean, no one. It's uncomfortable being on. It's uncomfortable being uncertain. You don't. How do you plan or prepare, or even just mentally? A lot of the sports is mental. So I'm trying to prepare myself for year four, and
Mhm.
trying to improve on the last season. So, it is. It's uncomfortable, but I think this whole last 6 months has been uncomfortable.
Uh,
It's been uncertain.
all right, Petey, setting aside the actual basketball aspect of this
Mhm.
overseas stuff, where's the favorite place you've gotten to live so far in the various places that you've been?
Uh, well, I've only been to Israel and Poland, 2 seasons in Israel, 1 season in Poland. I got to visit Barcelona this year, with the best friend of mine, Brianna Day,
Hmm.
all-time Syracuse great. So we were actually teammates. So we had some downtime and we got to go to Barcelona, and I think that was it was an amazing experience. Barcelona is absolutely beautiful. And Israel is great because Israel's super Americanized. The weather's nice, the beach, everything. But Poland did bring something different. It was a little bit calmer. The weather wasn't terrible. I was expecting it to be like Syracuse winters, but surprisingly, it never snowed. It never snowed. It was extremely cold, but it never snowed. So I've enjoyed a few places that I've gotten to visit.
See, your college life, it toughened you up, Petey. It got you ready for wherever
It
you might
did.
you might have ended up. So,
It definitely did.
yeah, it's been so interesting watching. I mean, there's so many recent grads from the women's basketball program. You mentioned Brown today. Uh,
Hmm.
Brittany Sykes, she was playing in Spain and now is in the WNBA bubble. There's players all over. I know Erica Maro's doing well over there, and I'm sure I'm shorting another handful. How fun is it for you to sort of keep track of your old teammates and players from the college days that you see each other a little, but you're scattered across Europe and all having your own little experience over
Yeah, no, it's great, and I've honestly been blessed to play with Shaquille Leary and Brittany,
there? Hmm.
my rookie season, and then this past year, me and Bree were able to reconnect and make that happen somehow. Everyone's like, "How did you guys make that happen?" And where you ended up on the same team? I was like, "I don't know," but we had talked about, what would it be like if we played together professionally? So it was a great experience, and I think it helped both of us because we had never been to Poland before. So having each other there, we were so familiar with each other's games, best friends, played together for 4 years, been through so much um, athletically that it was just like it was a great experience. So I think it's great to see how we're continuing to, pursue our dreams and make this thing happen.
You and Brianna still working that pick and roll, all right, around the world. I'm sure that doesn't require a lot more practice with
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have got 40 if Bree
you
wasn't setting those screens and rebounding like she was. So I mean, I don't think they had an answer for that duo. That pick and roll is still there.
Yeah, she doesn't let people around those screens without an issue happening
No.
to get you a little a little free. Great to see Petey here, and that's the light side of things where you see over there. Now you've been back here for, I mean, it's going on 6 months now, or will be here in a little bit,
Yeah.
and I see with your Twitter bio that you proudly at the top of Black Lives Matter, and obviously you've seen what's been
Hmm.
going on around the country here the last few months. So just what's
Yeah.
your take on everything you've seen and just the wildness of everything that's gone on here for the last few months?
It's heartbreaking, when you think about the amount of injustices that we've seen, the brutality that we've seen. But it's also encouraging to see how it's bringing people together, how it's bringing awareness, and how people are now finding their voice in the midst of this. I mean, it's like, what can I do? What can I say what stance do I need to show that, I won't be silent. And I'll continue to do my part. I'll find ways. I'll be creative. I'll go protest. I'll sign petitions. I want to be on the front lines. I want to be out there and show my support, because as being a Black woman, I know what that's like. And I want equality and justice for everyone, not just athletes or not just, people in the government. I want everyone to experience the same type of fairness that we deserve. That's what this country should be prided on.
Well, PD, it's you mentioned finding a voice. It's great to see you finding your voice with your foundation and everything you got going on right now. So great to see you. And again, it's agpetefoundation@gmail.com if you want to help out PD. Feed some people that need it right now. So pretty cool. Alexis, great to see you, and good luck here going
Thank
forward.
you so much. Thank you so much, Brian. It was a pleasure as always. Thank you.